Today's topic is spelling in formal writing.
Spelling is one of the foundations of a good academic writing presentation. But it seems like such a basic and elementary topic, doesn't it? Besides, in academic writing, we've got the whole content to worry about. So spelling is the least of our worries, right? Wrong!
Spelling is important in academic writing for exactly the same reason as grammar and punctuation are important. It has been a common connotation in our society, especially in the Filipino community, that if someone has a pure spelling, he or she is dumb and stupid. For instance, if someone posted a status on Facebook and he has a multitudes of misspelled words, people will criticize him. They will print his status, laugh about it, and show it to everybody. Like what Senora Santibanez always does. Browse her Facebook page or Twitter account and you will see them. She always criticizes someone's grammar and spelling.
There is no room for spelling errors in academic writing. So in line with this, we decided to show you the most common spelling mistakes that people make so that it would be easier for us to identify and avoid them next time. Spelling mistakes most commonly result from speed typing with low accuracy. In other words, they're typographical errors. In some cases, however, misspelling is caused by more than just manual failure. Let's get on with the discussion so we'll have no regrets in our academic writing. The first one in our list is missing letter. Aside from being mere typographical errors, missing letters may usually result when the writer fails to include a silent letter or a letter that is not pronounced in the word. For example, did you guys know that mortgage is spelled with a T? Take a look at these signs for other examples.
15 best things about public schools.
Misspelling with extra letters often results from one of two things: the double press key on a keyboard or wrong word transformations. By transformations, I mean either changing the tense of a verb or adding a suffix to a word. The latter is very common as many people fail to observe the rule of E. Rule of E is a useful tip when dealing with words that end in E. We often drop the E when adding a suffix that begins with a vowel or Y. The E is kept, on the other hand, if the suffix begins with a consonant. But of course, there are some exceptions to this rule. After all, English is a very tricky language. Here are some examples of the application of the rule of E as well as misspelled words with extra letters. Anybody care for some sweat cakes? As I've said, English is a tricky language. The pronunciation of certain letters or syllables may be similar, but that does not mean they're spelled the same way. English spelling is notoriously whimsical and inconsistent. Spelling conventions have grown up over centuries as a result of mixing of different languages as well as different social fashions. This is one of the reasons for misspelling with wrong letters. Ironic, isn't it? How this guy right here tells morons to get a brain. Clean blue crap? I think you mean carp. This one right here is a variation of the wrong letter. Interchange letters happen when the writer accidentally or unknowingly swaps two or more letters. Keep an eye out for these interchanged letters. Oh, and remember to stop for pedestrians.
In this kind of mistake, people usually deleting space between two words or sometimes put a space in between. For example, every day and every day. Every day without space used as a frequency, while every day with space, every used as modifier of the subject day.
Sometimes in academic writing, we encounter words that sound alike but aren't spelled alike. These words are called homonyms.
Homonyms are words that spelled or pronounced alike but have a different meaning. For example, there, and there, your and your, waste, waste, weather and weather.
These mistakes usually don't get detected by some built-in spell checkers, as they're not really misspelled, but are simply used in the wrong context, just like this road that's temporarily closed. And that shop, I don't think it's meant to say goodbye to used cars. This one is a variation of the entirely different word category. It's when your spelling ability is so bad that you begin to make up your own words. This kind of mistake is easily detected as these words just don't exist. In the following examples, you may understand what the writer is trying to say with exact cash and unauthorized parking based on context, but these mistakes just aren't acceptable in academic writing. Take a moment to appreciate this last example.
Now that we know about different spelling errors, here are some tips you can use to avoid misspelling. You can use your computer spell and grammar checks if you're having a doubt on your spelling, but don't always count on them to keep your writing error-free. Sometimes, these tools miss spelling errors or tell you that your grammar is wrong when in reality it's not.
Type slowly but surely. It's better to type slowly with perfect spelling than to have to rescan your whole work for spelling errors.
Since English is not a first language, we can consult dictionaries for some words that we might need or use in our research. These dictionaries were specifically written with the needs of non-native in mind, including those very fluent in English. And the definition in such dictionaries don't use very difficult language and have examples.
Have someone proofread your work. This is very effective as sometimes other people tend to notice things that we don't. There's no harm done getting a second opinion. Aside from misspelling, there are other things to consider about spelling in academic writing. These tips also fall under the grammar and vocabulary category, but since they're also concerned with spelling, we might as well mention them again. A contraction is two words made shorter by placing an apostrophe where the letters have been omitted. Contractions are very informal, so they must be avoided at all costs in academic writing.
We all know that there are differences between American and British English, from accent to spelling. There are some words that might have been the same meaning but have different spelling. For example, color and flavor, which may or may not be spelled with the letter U, and organization, which may either be spelled with an S or a Z. In our country, we use American English, and if we use this kind of words in our academic writing, our audience or readers will think that it is a misspelled word.
Proper tenses must be observed, especially when it comes to irregular verbs. This is because the past and present form of most of these words usually only differ in one letter. That concludes today's lesson about spelling in formal writing. It is now your turn to apply what you've learned. You're next.